But we have never seen anything like that in the history of America.
And I will fight even harder for Christians with 4 more years in the White House.
A secret ballot cast for someone, better yet, cast against the evil depravity of Democrats and keeping them from going after Christians even harder than they have, that is a vote of preference.
No one will be touching the cross of Christ under the Trump administration. I swear to you, that will never happen.
That is the role of government, and if you have government that is doing the very opposite, well, you need to vote them out.
We have to save our country, but Christians, they can't afford to sit on the sidelines in this fight. They have to really get out there. They have to do what they have to do, and they have to win.
So you're still not sure if you're going to vote. You see the wickedness of the Democrat Party, but you're still not sure if you can vote for the other side. We need to talk about what the difference is between voting and endorsing, and take a look at how these parties and how these candidates respond to Christianity and respond to things like Jesus Christ is Lord. Welcome to Truth Transforms. My name's Adam Markley, and we are going to talk about that right now. We're going to talk about the difference between voting versus endorsing, and we're going to take a look at this a couple of clips here that you've probably seen, and if you haven't seen it, I think you'll be pretty shocked at what you see. So let's start and let's just talk about voting. Okay, voting is simply a preference between two different options that you have in front of you. You have option A and option B, and whether they're wonderful options or whether they're terrible options, you can pick one of those options. That is not an endorsement of those options whatsoever. And then an endorsement would be some sort of approval, a public approval. Now, because when we vote in America, it is a secret ballot, it is not a public endorsement of the person that you vote for. And I'll play some clips here in just a moment of Kamala Harris and what she had to say in response to Jesus is Lord, and the Trump campaign in response to that as well. But let's just look at this here, voting versus endorsing. So according to the Oxford English Dictionary, a vote is a formal indication of a choice between two or more candidates or courses of action, expressed typically through a ballot or show of hands. Yes, it's simply a preference. It is not an all-out endorsement of an individual and every act that they make in their lifetime, and it is certainly not an endorsement of everything that they stand for either. If it were such a thing, nobody could have ever voted in all of the nation's history or all of history, period, because Jesus Christ has never run for political office. And if he's not in the running, if Jesus is not in the running, well, then we probably can't vote if we're responsible for the sin that a person commits the moment after they take office. So voting is simply a preference. This whole thing comes down to how one views voting. If one views voting as having to approve upon every single act that an individual does, everything about their character, everything about their platform, every single thing, well, if a person has that view, then they're not going to vote. If they're a Christian, they're obviously not going to vote for a Democrat, but they're probably not going to vote, unfortunately. But that is not how we should see voting. Voting is simply a preference. Now, an endorsement is different. An endorsement is to declare one's public approval of, or of course you can sign a check or a bill, but it is to declare a public approval of someone. So publicly approving of an individual is an endorsement. But a secret ballot cast for someone, better yet, cast against the evil depravity of Democrats and keeping them from going after Christians even harder than they have, that is a vote of preference. Saying, you know what, I'd rather not have increased persecution of the most wicked and severe form. I'd rather stave it off just a little bit. Let's get to these clips here. Kamala Harris was in the middle of a rally, and she was talking about the sacrament of the Democrat Party, and something was shouted out, and here's her response.
Donald Trump hand-selected 3 members of the United States Supreme Court with the intention that they would undo the protections of Roe v. Wade, and they did as he intended. Oh, you guys are at the wrong rally. No, I think you meant to go to the smaller one down the street.
Okay, I understand that it's 2024 and we've seen some ridiculous hatred against Christians, but we have never seen anything like that in the history of America. We have never seen that kind of hatred toward Christians in the history ever before in this country. That kind of hatred against Jesus, that kind of hatred against Christians, we have never, ever, ever seen that. And that is only a sign of what's to come if she gets in office. And so stays in office, I should say, and stays in office and takes the number one position and continues to do what the people in the back that really run the show are telling her to do. So that is a serious issue. We need to vote her out. That's what a vote is. A vote is voting her out right now. Well, J.D. Vance was actually giving a rally, and here's what he said.
Anti-Christian rhetoric and anti-Christian approach to public policy. I don't think that we've, that's right, Jesus is king, and I don't think that we've seen... I don't think that we've seen anything like this in modern American politics.
No, we have not seen anything like this in modern American politics. But you see, he responds with Jesus is king, and there is a roaring applause because there is respect for Christians. There is at least a respect for Christians, and he is even a professing Catholic. And so there is a respect for Christian values. That is certainly what you're going to have versus a party that absolutely abhors the values of Christians and sees abortion, that Harris was talking about there in that first clip, sees abortion as a fundamental right, the murdering of children as a fundamental right. Now that's different than let the states decide. Now I'm going to play a clip here at the end of the video about Trump saying some things regarding his plans to help protect rights of Christians, and I'm going to play a clip about the protesters at that event. But first, let's talk about some of the primary issues. These are just mainly the primary issues. I responded to someone's comment with this, and this is what I broke it down with. I said, okay, abortion. We're all talking about abortion. Many are concerned about abortion. Many are saying, I can't vote for Trump because of abortion. Well, this is what you've got. You've got pro-execution of human life at any moment. In fact, talking about it as a fundamental right. You've got pro-execution of human life at any moment versus let the states decide. Let the states decide. So millions and millions and millions and millions and millions of babies their lives can still be saved with let the states decide, which, if we're going to be honest, that's the position that has been held by the Republicans always. That's always been the position because we've never been in a position where Roe v. Wade was overturned. So in terms of, I would want to see a ban entirely of abortion. We all do. But the let the states decide, sending it back to the states, would be the same position that George W. Bush holds. So I'm just going to say, if someone's not going to vote for the Republican Party because of what Trump has said about, I'll do an abortion ban, and then deciding, no, I'm going to backtrack on that, That's if you voted for George W. Bush, well, I mean, that's inconsistent, because would Bush have signed an abortion ban? Maybe, but it wasn't an option. It wasn't even an option at the time. So the same story was, let the states decide. It was keeping it from advancing further the Democrat cause, the sacrament of the Democrat Party. So moving on to the next one, we've got abortion, issue number 1. We've got law and order being a main one. We see that right in Scripture. So we got anarchy and takeover of cities from illegal invaders. And yes, I purposely said invaders. That's there for on purpose. Anarchy and takeover of cities from illegal invaders taking over this country, versus upholding Romans 13 and mass deportation of criminals who came here illegally. They are criminals. They came here illegally. And a refresher on Romans 13, verse 3, for rulers are not a terror to good conduct, but to bad. This is the ideal. This is what government is to uphold. Government is to uphold being a terror to those who do bad and rewarding those who do good. We see that also over in 2 Peter verse 14, that governing authorities are sent by him, by God, to punish those who do evil and to praise those who do good. That is the role of government. And if you have government that is doing the very opposite, well, you need to vote them out. You need to vote them out. You don't have to support everything for the party that you're casting that ballot for. See the casting the ballot for the Republican Party as voting out evil, voting out depravity, voting out all the wickedness that's in office right now under the Harris-Biden regime. Moral sanity, all right? Legislating and celebrating the immorality described in Romans 1. Yep, that's what we see under Harris. The complete celebration of every sin in Romans 1, versus rejecting the woke agenda and Marxist ideology, but with inconsistent acceptance, admittedly, of course, inconsistent acceptance of LGBT sins. However, there's a rejection of the radical activism. Those are your choices. That's what we're down to. We're down to abortion, law and order, moral sanity, and Romans 1 as a reminder. We've got homosexuality in Romans 1 celebrated. We've got the debased mind as described in Romans 1 celebrated and seen all over now, yes. And we see inventors of evil in Romans 1. That is all there in Romans 1. It talks about dishonorable passions, a debased mind. You should read that for yourself, but let's move on to the government type as well. Marxism leading to communism. That's what we have in place right now. If it continues and Harris stays in her regime, Marxism leading to communism versus free market capitalism in the constitutional republic that the founders envisioned. So, in other words, ownership of property, private party ownership, private property ownership, and not stealing from others. Thou shalt not steal. The Bible clearly teaches free market capitalism. The Bible clearly condemns communism, Marxism, which are anti-God government types. So these things all matter, and these things should be paid attention to, and we should be voting against those things. All right, so that's the end of those kind of main things. Let's get these clips here. So here's what Trump has to say about a task force that he is at least promising to create to help with the anti-Christian bias, anti-Christian discrimination, was we are seeing an awful lot of that, and he does recognize that. Yes, he's got a big evangelical base, and yeah, people don't always believe him on everything, but this is what he's saying. We should take his word for it.
And I will fight even harder for Christians with 4 more years in the White House. We did things that the likes of which nobody has ever done for Christians in this country.
In another announcement, he promised to create a new federal task force on fighting anti-Christian bias.
But no one will be touching the cross of Christ under the Trump administration. I swear to you, that will never happen. Never happen. And we have to save our country. But Christians, they can't afford to sit on the sidelines in this fight. They have to really get out there. They have to do what they have to do, and they have to win.
Yeah, Christians cannot afford to sit on the sidelines. Sadly, it has been reported that 61 million or more Christians, registered voters, are not going to vote at this time, according to the most recent Gallup poll, are not planning to vote. They're just going to sit at home because they understand they can't vote for the evil, depravity, terrible wickedness of the Democrat Party. But they also are not on board with Republicans. They're not on board with Trump. So they're just going to sit it out and watch some terrible things potentially happen by casting their ballot to stay silent. That's a vote. Their vote is, I choose to stay silent. We have a right in this country, and it is a very unique right, and it is a small thing that we can do, is to cast a secret ballot for a preference of who we'd like to see in office. And if you don't cast that ballot, then you are choosing to stay silent. That is your right, but that is what you are choosing. You are choosing to remain silent while evil continues around you. I hope that you would consider that, and I do hope that you make it out to the voting booth and that you do vote. Thanks for watching Truth Transforms. I've got one more clip here for you, and this is about those protesters being interviewed. I think you'll find this insightful.
After she talked about overturning Roe v. Wade and Donald Trump, I yelled out to the crowd that abortion is the sacrament of Satan. And when I said that, I deeply do believe that as a Christian. And about 10 seconds go by, and that's when the video of my friend Grant and I proclaiming that Christ is Lord and Jesus is King, when we said that. And I think it's important to say this is a small venue, and we were about 20 to 30 yards away from Kamala at this point. There's a lot of controversy that says she wasn't talking to us, or we left, we didn't get kicked out. Well, I can speak on Grant and I's behalf. On video, Grant's getting pushed and shoved, and there's about 5 seconds after or before she tells us to go to the smaller rally down the street. You can see on the video she waves. She was actually waving to me. I took this cross off my neck that I wear, and as we were getting asked to leave, I held it up in the air and waved at her and pointed to her, and she looked directly in the eye, kind of gave me an evil smirk, and yeah, I just want to clear that up and confirm that she 100% was talking to us.
Yeah, she was absolutely talking to them, waving at them, giving an evil smirk, because she hates Christians and hates Christianity, as Democrats do. We need to vote them out. We need to vote them out across the board. And don't be neglecting as well local issues, state issues, all of the other issues on the ballot. Thanks again for watching Truth Transforms. I've got a free resource for you if you're new here. During the hard times that we are living through, I have something called Lessons in Philippians. I hope that it's a blessing to you. It's a short little ebook, and you can pick that up at preachingforgodsglory.org/gift. That's preachingforgodsglory.org/gift. Go ahead and take advantage of that. Also, subscribe, hit the like button, do all those things if you're new. That helps to reach more people. Let's help us get out to more people. God bless you, and I will see you in the next episode. I hope you enjoyed today's episode. I want to let you know real quick, if you ever feel led to support, these are some ways that can be done. You can, of course, do that by providing a one-time love offering. There's a link below that shows you how you can do that. Also, you can visit the merchandise shop and find something that you enjoy, and that would help out as well. And you would also have some merch that you'll definitely like. There's hoodies, t-shirts, coffee mugs, all kinds of merch in there. And you can take a look at the Devotional Bible Study Guide. There's a link to a video. You can find out more about that. Also, if you do decide to visit the merchandise shop, what you're going to find is all kinds of different designs. There you see a few examples. Sermon Fuel, Don't Get Mad at Me, I Just Preach the Bible. My dad's my favorite pastor. My husband's my favorite preacher. And I'm going to tell you, by far the most popular is my husband is my favorite preacher. And Don't Get Mad at Me, I Just Preach the Bible. This Preach the Word's pretty popular as well. Then here's again, my husband's my favorite preacher in pink. and you can take a look at the designs. There's a lot more to look at, so be sure to visit the store and check out those other links below. God bless you, and thanks for watching.